Okay. Hello, and you're very welcome. This is Teri Morris with the Zero to Hero Web Club. And joining me today I'm really delighted, is Melanie Boylan from STOMPS Social Media Training. Melanie, you're very welcome. Thanks for coming today.
Thanks.
Okay, so Melanie is she is a speaker. She is a contributor to the Irish Tech News. She's a mother. She's the founder of STOMPS Social Media Training, an entrepreneur and a mentor as well. So Melanie, maybe if we just start, if you tell us a little bit about STOMPS Social Media Training.
Sure. STOMPS Social Media Training started up in 2013, and I initially set up the website using lots of courses through the local enterprise office. And I remember I got everything sorted out for the business, and I went into one of the mentoring services there. I said, right, I've got my insurance sorted out, I've got my mission, I've got my business plan, I've got my website. What else do I need to do? And they went, just get started. Oh, okay. And she told me this story that they had some lady who'd been coming to them for like 3 or 4 years. And she'd got everything in place, and she'd got logos and brandings, and she really thorough, executed business plan and everything else. But she just wouldn't start. So I didn't want to be the next person that she described to the next person who came into the room.
Yeah.
So the next morning, on November the 7th, 2013, I said, okay, here's my Facebook page, and here I am. Help! And that's how it started, and I think that's how it starts for a lot of people.
Yeah. Well done. Actually, because that wouldn't be the first story that I heard like that, where people have just kind of planned everything out but didn't actually execute. And it's quite amazing that happens, but a lot of times it's the start, isn't it? It's getting going. Yeah. Oh,
well,
okay.
it's as much as you want to start as you mean to go on, and nobody wants to look foolish, especially when you put your business on social media. So you want to make sure you've got everything in place and not look silly. And that was half my issue as well. I've never run my own business before. Certainly never thought of running one in Ireland before, because as you can tell, I'm not exactly a local. So it was a big step.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it is definitely. So Melanie, tell us where you're from.
I hail from England, and I was born in London, but I've spent almost, I'd say, a good half of my life in Sussex. But I've been here now for 9 years.
Okay, so you're like a local.
I'm a blow-in.
Yes, excellent. Okay. Okay. So, so one thing that kind of struck me when you were talking is just this thing about, when as a new entrepreneur that you don't know what you're doing, a lot of times when you're starting out a new business, and it can be unsettling, it can be difficult, and there's so many new things out there. So, how did you handle that then? You just...
Well, to be completely honest with you, I handled it quite badly at the beginning. Yeah, truthfully, I did. I didn't know what I was doing, but I'm obviously a mature adult, so I had some idea of what to do. I know I needed to have a mission statement, a business plan. I had to have a logo and branding, and so I had a fair idea, but how to actually target my audience, how to find it, what sort of strapline or tagline I was going to have, my elevator pitch. I mean, these were all things that were discussed, but to actually do it in real life, it was, and I mean, I'm very, 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 very social. I've always been, as in personable, I've always been out and about. I love talking to people and meeting people, always done that. So networking wasn't something I was particularly worried about, but networking for business is completely different from going out and having a laugh.
Yeah.
So those were muscles I had to learn as well.
Okay. Did you have a mentor at the time?
Kind of. right at the beginning, it would have been the local enterprise office. And I used their mentoring services when I used to live in Wicklow. I now live in Mullingar. And I use their mentoring services in County Wicklow. And the lady there, Catherine, I'm not sure if she's still there, but she was fabulous. Yeah, she offered incredible amounts of support and help. And today, nearly 4 years later, I will always encourage people to go to the local enterprise office first, because they're heavily subsidised. They have enormously qualified and well-trained trainers there, and mentors, and people that know how to start, and they're a facility that's not used properly, definitely.
So this is actually my third business that I'm on, and the one thing that I kind of notice is that those challenges like that you speak of, Melanie, I don't think those things ever go away, even after you've had a couple businesses or you have more experience and stuff. But I think the thing is that you're just better able to deal with it. Would you agree? Or, because I know when you first start out, a lot of times those things can be very, very daunting, but I don't think those things go away, do they? I mean, you are better able to, you're better able to, I think people who have experience are better able to handle some things, but there's still always those feelings of being unsure, and is this going to work? And do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, the worry is always there. And, you've got to make sure you stay on top of legislation, and, they change things with finances and banking and the Companies Act and that sort of stuff. There's all sort of stuff in the background you have to keep informed about all the time.
Yeah. And even the technology changes, and you have to stay on top of that. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's obviously my particular area would be the technology, especially the social media aspect. But I also look at other areas that are connected to my business, even though it's not particularly my remit. I know that people will ask me, can you help me out with my website? And I'll say, well, no, I'm not a website specialist, but I can look at it objectively because I've got a website and I've had people give me feedback. So I can do that sort of thing, and I can look across everybody's whole message. So from a stand that they have, business cards, flyers, their social media pages, of course, and then a website. And if they're all saying the same thing, that's normally a good start.
Yeah, very good. And Melanie, you do mentoring as well. So as well as having started out and everything, you actually volunteer your own time, which is great. So tell us a little bit about what you do with that.
Yes, I have mentored mostly very small businesses or startups in the local area, or some friends, that sort of thing. Because the only reason why I'm here today is because I've had friends and acquaintances that have given up their time to support me and help me. And there are great facilities out there to support businesses, but you have to go to them, and some people can't afford them, or they're not close enough, or they're not friendly enough, I suppose, to a certain extent. Sometimes I'm sure you've heard this before. I know I certainly have. A lot of people get in their own way, to be honest.
Yes. Yeah.
They do, don't they?
Yeah.
And sometimes just hearing it from a friend kind of gives you permission to go and then ask somebody else, like the local enterprise office or Enterprise Ireland or somebody like that. Just it's like you need permission to go.
Yeah. And I think I think as well, like when we tell our stories as well, and some of the struggles that we go through, it kind of gives other people, it helps them to feel like, oh, maybe I'm doing okay, or it's okay to feel that way, or you know what I mean? Like you need the permission or whatever.
But it's essential that we support one another.
Absolutely.
The SME sector is a booming sector. It's holding the back end of the economy up, and it's incredible just how much effort that the SMEs are putting into that isn't unfortunately properly recognised.
Yeah.
But if I hadn't have had the help from friends, I'm not going to name drop, because there'll always be somebody I'll miss.
Yeah.
But if I hadn't have got their support, I wouldn't be where I am today, and I certainly wouldn't have the confidence I have today, the products, the offerings that I offer, and the confidence, you know.
Yeah. So tell us how you came up with some of those offerings, because I think that's really interesting. A lot of people, I think, like for if you've been in business, I think that there, you know, and you have some relative success with it. There's sort of a way to come out with this. I mean, some people, they think they're going to come out with a product and then they try to sell that product, whereas businesses that are more successful are changing their products all the time. So tell me about your product offerings and how you came up with them.
Okay. When I first started, I had a specific interest in Facebook, because that's where I thought everybody wanted to know and learn about and understand. I also had knowledge of Twitter, LinkedIn, and a few other platforms. I also played around with Google+, but I didn't really think anybody was that particularly interested in Google+, so I kind of shelved my development on Google+ to one side. And then somebody came along and said, oh, I'd love to have some Google+ training. I was like, oh, great. Well, I can't see you next week. Maybe I'll see you the week after. And I spent the next 2 weeks YouTubing like mad, trying to bring up to speed my Google+ information. This was years ago. And that was a very valuable lesson to me. Because just because I don't think it may be that relevant or that important doesn't mean that somebody else will, you know? And since I've done the Google Plus training and, you know, I now call Martin Shervington sort of a close ally when it comes to Google Plus. That's his thing, you know, Google Plus. So, and I've been part of his academy and everything else. And, you know, it's really amazing just how useful something like Google Plus can be, certainly for the SEO side of things. And Google will always favor their own products over anybody else's. So when you put in a search for somebody, like if you put in a search for Melanie Boylan of STOMPS Social Media Training, you will always see my Google Plus come up very, very quickly alongside other articles and websites and stuff like that, because I put in a fair bit of work into my Google Plus profile now.
Okay, that's good to know. Yeah. Okay. So I'm just maybe if we come back to sort of the wellness and stuff, that like to me, like when I started this group, I kind of felt that, like, if I think of the main things that were important for me in business, to be able to do well and stuff, to me, wellness was a big part of that. And one of the reasons why I asked you to come on was because of your really lovely social media post that I fell in love with. I looked at it, I read it, and I said, "Oh my God, this is like wellness. This is like what wellness kind of means to me, like as being an entrepreneur." And actually, there's loads of entrepreneurs. I follow entrepreneur bloggers and things like that. People who I think are doing really well, I do follow them because I think it helps me kind of see the struggles that they go through and how they deal with them. And, you know, they become more like people. And I think it just helps your thinking. It gets your thinking right as well. So I was really delighted when I saw your post. And actually, I might just read it real quick because I thought it was really, really good. Let me just see if I can bring it up here. I'll just have to read it off my screen here. So if you want 2017 to be your year, don't sit on the couch and wait for it. Go out, make a change. Smile more, be excited, do new things, throw away what you have been cluttering, unfollow negative people on social media, go to bed early, wake up early, be fierce, don't gossip, show more gratitude, do things that challenge you, and be brave. So I just think that is really cool. So tell us how you came up with that. What's the story behind it?
The inspiration was is a lot of people were preparing content on social media leading up to the new year, because obviously this was a 2017 image, and you know, it was all very motivational, very encouraging and supportive, and I, for the first time in 3 years, coming up to my 4th year now, I took some proper time off over the Christmas period and had time to really look into myself and work out, you know, I've got, my life is so crowded with my two lovely children, a hugely supportive husband, and precious few times with my friends, and then my business, and then my clients, you know. So I needed to look inwards and think, okay, I really need to shake off the stuff I don't need, because there's only so much I can do. And I remember certainly, and I know it's the same for everybody, we've all got this pressure when we first start up our business. We need to make money, we need to get, pay the mortgage, we need to do this, we need to do that. And when you've got this pressure on you to start up a completely brand new business, changing your whole identity for some, they've gone from one type of business to a completely different type. Then you've got this pressure. You've got to bring in the money, got to see the readies, you're investing your time and your money, and you're working late, especially when you're a solopreneur, and you're working weekends, and, the time with the kids is suffering, and time with your partner's suffering, and dinner's getting burnt, and all sorts of things, so. And I did that for a good couple of years, I'd say 2.5 years really. And I just wore myself out, Teri. I was exhausted. I had this horrible chest infection that went on for months. And then a couple of months later, I came down with the flu, and then I couldn't do anything. And it was just so hard. Everything was so hard. And I suppose I was a little depressed as well, because I wasn't making a go of it. Everybody would say the usual cliches, oh, it's the second year in your business, But if it wasn't for the support I had from my family and my friends, I probably would have quit, frankly. But one of the things, I was going to say the one, but one of the things that really kept me going is, I'm sure you get it too, Teri. When you're speaking to somebody and they've come to you with a problem and they say, oh, can you help me with this? I'd really appreciate your help. And then as you're talking, you see this little fire come up behind their eyes. And say, oh, that's how you do it. And don't get me wrong, I like getting paid and all that, but that is my payday. I love it when they get it. And I'm thinking, finally, and that's the thing I really love about one-to-one and supporting others, because when they get it and you reach them on a personal level, it's fantastic. It really
I think
is.
A lot of the things that you're talking, the things that you were talking about, the story behind the post and everything, I think that, for me anyways, would be one reason why I would have a daily practice. I don't know if you have one, but I read, and I've kind of gone into this, I suppose, the last maybe 4 or 5 years, just because I've been reading different entrepreneurs and stuff, and they all talk about, without a doubt, this sort of daily practice, and to keep them sort of focused. So when you talk about the things that were, leading up behind the post and everything, and all the things coming at you, I think part of what you need to be able to just do your business, not even do it well, but just manage your business, is you have to have that focus. And how do you, to be able to know like what you want to focus on and what you shouldn't focus on, and even the thing about, letting go of negative people and that kind of stuff, keeping your mind right. So I suppose I'm just wondering, have you a daily practice?
I do now, actually. Yes. My daily practice would be obviously prioritizing my clients and their needs first. But as part of that, I have this like time. I'm probably getting a little anal about it, to be honest now, but I allow myself a certain amount of time to do each job. And once that time is up, I know I've got time later in the day to follow up if I've had a phone call or something else has cropped up. But I allow myself a certain amount of time to do that job. And then if I haven't finished it in that time, then I've got my fallback later in the day. But I know I've got other things I need to get done. But I've already prioritized them in the morning. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And because I am a solopreneur, I have the ability to work in the evenings and the weekends if I have to.
Oh no!
I know. But you know, some clients want me to work at the weekends. You know.
I know.
You know, sometimes it's essential to work over the weekends.
Yeah.
And you know, some conferences like the Blogger Conf coming up on the 20th of May, that's over a weekend. And so for networking and that kind of stuff, you know, I need to make time available for the weekend.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's you've got to accept that sometimes you're going to have to make that effort and it's going to have to intrude on your life. But when it's your business and it's something you're passionate about, you know, there are some sacrifices you're going to have to make.
Yeah.
But the other thing is that I went to the Dublin Tech Summit. Do you remember that was on recently?
Yeah, I heard about that.
And I had a brilliant time there, but I woke up on the second day with a cold. And I was occupied and busy on that second day, so I was able to keep going, but I could feel myself feeling worse. Yeah. So when I have conferences and events and that sort of stuff, well, I always leave the day after, where possible, to do write up and, you know, catch up on the work I've missed because I've been out of the office. So I thought, oh well, what I'll do is I'll embrace the illness and I'll just take a duvet day on the Friday. And that's exactly what I did. I didn't get out of bed. The only thing I did all day was brush my teeth. That was the only thing I did all day. And that's the great thing about being a solopreneur, you know. The downside is,
are you prioritizing yourself a bit more now?
Well, I have to, because my clients have nobody else. You know, if I can't function, there's nobody else to help them. I don't have a colleague or a partner to fall back on.
Yeah.
In the business anyway. So, but that is, you know, I love my job. I really, really, really love my job, but I found I can't do it all. And you have to reach a point where you have to accept help. You have to put your hand out or speak to somebody or make a phone call and just say, look, I need some help. And, you know, if you don't, you could end up making yourself ill, which is what I did. Make yourself look foolish.
Yeah.
And when you do something like we do and we have a social media presence, a lot of people can see when we make a mistake.
Yeah.
You know? So you've really got to look after.
I think that's a good point, Melanie, this thing about, you know, don't be afraid to ask for help and stuff. Because there's so much to know and, you know, we can all help each other. And it's actually quite amazing. Like you can see in a lot of these groups, these, you know, entrepreneurial kind of groups and stuff, networking groups on Facebook or wherever, that people want to help. So I think that's a really, really good point. I just wondered if there's anyone there that maybe has a question for Melanie while we're on here. If you want to maybe comment. I'm not sure how many people are online, but anyways, they might look at this afterwards. So if you don't get to comment now, you can always get in touch with Melanie afterwards. She's on Twitter, or Twitter is probably the best place to get her. So at STOMPS Social Media Training on Twitter. And we're just coming up near the end here. So what I just maybe, Melanie, just tell us what you're doing for this year in terms of, you know, your business and stuff like that. Are there any other things that you've got planned in the pipeline or whatever that you're doing for your clients?
Well, as you mentioned, I'm a contributor now with Irish Tech News. And that is, I mean, I am a keen networker anyway, but when I waved my services at Irish Tech News and they saw how much I got out and about, they said, yay, we'd love to have you on. So, that's keeping me quite busy. Between that and I moved to Mullingar about 2 years ago. And so now I'm trying to sort of get my name around here a little bit better, and I'm running some courses here. So between that and a few opportunities showing up in Dublin, hopefully in the next 3 months, fingers crossed, I should be just continuing as I am. I want to continue speaking. I want to do that sort of thing, but I don't want to be the next big thing. I really enjoy my networking. I really enjoy seeing people. I really enjoy the one-to-one and even the small group training. But now I just want to, with the blogging, I really just want to target small to medium-sized businesses and give them the help and the direction that sometimes they crave. And we always end up having to look outside of Ireland to deliver, you know. But me now on the social media team for Irish Tech News, you know, I'm being given some amazing information because it's coming to Irish Tech News, you know. So, you know, I'm sure you've heard the Social Media Summit in Ireland is coming up soon. You've got the Women's Inspire Network. You've got the Women's Empower Summit. I mean, there's all sorts of things coming up that, not just for women, I hasten to add, but there's all sorts of things coming up that can help solopreneurs. You don't have to be massively tech savvy to go along to these things. If you've just got an interest. And that's what I like to foster, and that's what I know you like to foster on the website aspect. So, you know, there are so many facilities and services out there, and it's just trying to wade through the right through them all to find the right one for you. But yeah, I'm really happy where I am right now, and hopefully things will be on the up and up after September. I've got some plans then, but I can't discuss them yet.
Oh, super. Okay. So Melanie, just want to say thank you very much for coming on. I really appreciate you, you know, having you here and being my guinea pig and everything, and talking to the group here. And, you know, hopefully we'll catch up with you online or maybe in person as well sometime. So I just, again, want to say thank you very much, Melanie. Okay.
Thanks, Teri.
Okay, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.